So we all saw this tweet from Ethan, right? Where he was going on about how basically Ethan's trying to put up this act that he was totally blissfully unaware and ignorant of Jordan Peterson's politics when he interviewed him, when he had a very famous interview with him back in 2017. And I think he had another one with him in like 2018. When was the second one? I think it was like a year later or something, right? He had 2 interviews with Jordan Peterson. They were very big. And now in 2022, he's come out and said, years ago, I interviewed Jordan Peterson before I was very familiar with his politics. He was an interesting guest who I enjoyed sitting with. But especially now, I can see he's a dangerous gateway to the alt-right, transphobia, and COVID misinfo. I removed both interviews today. So, Ethan's trying to establish this idea that back then he was just totally, just blissfully unaware of politics. But now he is grown, he has matured, and he's here to acknowledge his wrongdoings, so to speak, right? This is just so cringe and virtue signaling. Ethan knew what he was doing back then, and he knows what he's doing now. This guy's as dumb as a rock, right? He's impressionable. So back then, he was a #1 free speech bro, like Joe Rogan podcasts, like Junior, basically, right? He was like, we're going to get all these fucking, interesting free speech bro guests, and we're going to have really interesting conversations about, whatever. But now Ethan Klein is a fucking lefty, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that inherently. At least I don't think so. But he's obnoxious about it. And he is disavowing his past self for just no reason other than to just fucking virtue signal. It's just so cringe and annoying. So then, and then somebody, Shimoyoho, commented, my room after this happened, making a joke, because Jordan Peterson's infamous for, giving advice to, like, clean your room. And then Ethan, responding like a fucking petty spurg, is like, it's okay, Jordan's room is also messy. So Jordan Peterson's like, clean your room. Oh, but he's a hypocrite, because here's a screenshot where his room's a mess. Got him! This is like a scumbag Hector tier response. Like, okay. Pretty hypocritical considering your stance on cleaning your room. What are you talking about? Anyway. So Jordan Peterson responds. He says, before Jordan Peterson responds, let's actually go into more detail about why Ethan Klein's tweet is fucking AIDS, okay? First of all, Bo Blacks completely destroyed him. Bo Blacks tweeted, he removes the Jordan Peterson podcast, but not the podcast where he said, I love saying N-word F-slur. Okay, lol. The iDubbbz interview is still up on his channel. If Ethan is so virtuous now, to the point where he's willing to disavow his old content, why is he leaving this up? Because he's virtue signaling. He's not genuinely being like, I need to remove my old harmful content because this is bad. He's just virtue signaling on Twitter. And a lot of people are saying, oh, did Hasan influence this decision? I don't even know if that's true. I don't really care, to be honest. He did it, and he's a complete hypocrite because he's not willing to go all the way with it, right?
Know about Peterson just like how Pig didn't know about the N-word. Bro, you were in your 30s.
Yeah, he was in his 30s. I'm so sick and tired of these people being like, I just had no idea what was going on back in the day. I was just so ignorant back then, and now I'm educated. No, shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? Like, I don't believe this for a second, right? And then John Swan fucking claps back. If Jordan Peterson is a gateway to the alt-right, then what is this?
They're like these huge black dudes, and they were all strapped. They were all black. There was like 10. I'm just saying, every single one of them was black.
Okay. I don't even pay attention to color or anything.
If there's 8 dudes all in security and they're all black, I think that's worth noting.
I just noticed their suit. They were all wearing suits.
They were all wearing suits, yeah. No, they were super professional.
That was nice.
And, they were all like 6'5", black dudes. Yeah, that's terrifying. Is a 6'5" black dude scare you more than a 6'5" white dude?
No. Is it supposed to?
Well,
I mean, it's the height maybe that will scare you.
Yeah. Yeah. How do I get out of this? Get me out of this.
So here he is red pilling his audience. By the way, this is dated 2019, not even 2017 or 2016. This is dated 2019. So here he is red pilling his audience on why black people are, genetically scarier than white people or something like that in 2019. This podcast is also still up, by the way, on his channel. So it's like, what the fuck is he talking about? And now, do I think Ethan Klein is racist? No. I just think he's impressionable. He's just willing to say a bunch of dumb shit that sounds interesting to him at the time, right? Back then, he was repeating right-wing talking points that just, tickled the old funny bone. And now he's just doing it for the left, I don't think he really has much conviction in what he believes. I don't think back then he had much conviction in what he believed. I don't think now he really has much conviction in what he believes. It's just aesthetically pleasing to be left-wing nowadays, whereas back then it was more aesthetically pleasing to be at least, if not right-wing, at least right-wing friendly, But no, I don't think he's like an actual fucking like racist or anything. I just think he's impressionable. And then here's this account. Ethan backstabbing's old pal Jordan Peterson conveniently happened 9 days before Peterson is set to appear on Joe Rogan's podcast. H3 wants Joe Senpai to notice him so fucking bad, further proof Ethan never recovered from Joe snubbing him back in 2017. So you'll remember that Ethan back in 2017 was begging Joe Rogan, begging to do a podcast with Joe Rogan. And now he will just fucking... go on these unhinged, crazy, schizo rants on him on Twitter. But back then he was begging to do a show with him, right? And now he's going after Peterson right before he's about to get his big seat on Rogan's podcast. It just could be a coincidence, but it's curious. It's interesting, right? And then Hasan comes in, right? To defend Ethan. The funniest part about right-wing weirdos is their constant need to bring up old shit that people have apologized for years after they've clearly changed. Just because you're incapable of changing doesn't mean others aren't. Self-reflection and growth is at the heart of progress. These people love making a killing shitting on cancel culture and SJW behavior only to weaponize old clips in the most cynical ways possible. Everyone who's spent enough time on my stream knows people's attitude changing is a huge part of my advocacy. Is this just not the funniest thing you guys have ever seen? Hasan's preaching how beneficial and how important change is for him. Hello? How many times has Hasan, quote unquote, canceled people for their past opinions? And look, I don't even think that's necessarily wrong, right? Because obviously, look, if you're going to judge somebody for a clip that's 20 years old, I think that's retarded, right? But if you're going to pull up something that's a few years ago, I don't really think that that's, crazy to do, right? Generally, I stand by most of the things that I've said a few years ago. I stand by even today, right? Because generally my opinions are well grounded. They might change over time, right? But I'm never going to have these massive, huge changes to very core beliefs that I have quickly. If I have massive changes over time, it's going to happen over many years, So, but we don't even have to focus on that, right? Hasan is a hypocrite here because he literally criticized Bo Blacks for his Black Lives Matter song, saying that he was fucking racist.
Didn't that Bo Blacks guy literally do a fucking song where he was just singing the N-word? All lives don't matter, Black Lives Matter or some shit like that?
Hasan weaponizes people's past to go after them all the time. So the fact that he sit here and preach about how much forgiveness is important to him, I don't buy it. I'm sorry, I don't believe it.
Are you really fucking kidding me, dude? This motherfucker has the audacity, the gall to fucking call anyone else out? Suck my fucking cock. Get the fuck out of here, you little bitch.
Yeah, really preaching, forgiveness there, right? Yeah, give me a break. So now that we've gone through that, let's take a look at Jordan Peterson's response, okay? What are you up to, Ethan? We had a good conversation. I enjoyed meeting you and talking with you. What have I said precisely that motivated your actions and your accusations? Deleting our discussion? An honest question at H3 Productions. Finally, H3, You might seriously consider providing me with the footage so I can post it, given that I agreed to appear on your show based on the agreement that there would, in fact, be a show. Also, I should warn you that those who engage in cancel culture generally live to regret it. I'm not going to come after you, except politely, in this Twitter stream, but the chickens will definitely come home to roost. You will be held higher and higher and soon impossible to maintain ethical standards by the very mob you currently wish to please. Then you will make a mistake and they will devour you with glee. Please take this warning seriously. I liked you. So whatever. I mean, I'm not crazy about this response, but he's generally right. I mean, he is hitting the nail on the head. I mean, he's not breaking any ground here, but he is correct, right? People that feed into cancel culture, they're going to get eaten by their own mob. I mean, H3's been eaten by his own mob already, you know, many times before. So Ethan responds and says, to start, you called a ban on conversation therapy. I think he meant to say conversion therapy. You called a ban on gay conversion therapy moral grandstanding 6 days ago. So Justin Trudeau tweets, as of today, it's official. Conversion therapy is banned in Canada. Our government's legislation has come into force, which means it is now illegal to promote, advertise, benefit from, or subject someone to this hateful and harmful practice. LGBTQ rights are human rights. Then Peterson says, conversion therapy, more moral grandstanding from our juvenile OM, Justin Trudeau. Then Klein says, you believed in enforced monogamy from New York Times interview. Violent attacks are what happens when men do not have partners, Mr. Peterson says, and society needs to work to make sure those men are married. He was angry at God because women were rejecting him, Mr. Peterson said of the Toronto killer. The cure for that is enforced monogamy. That's actually why monogamy emerges. Mr. Peterson does not pause when he says this. Enforced monogamy is to him simply a rational solution. Otherwise, women will all only go for the most high-status men, he explains, and that couldn't make either gender happy in the end. Half the men fail, he says, meaning they don't procreate, and no one cares about the men who fail. I laugh because it is absurd. You're laughing about them, he says, giving me a disappointed look. That's because you're female. Then Klein goes on. Your mischaracterization of Bill C-16 resulted in a surge of transphobia. The bill was created to add trans people as a protected group against hate crimes. Using the wrong pronoun would not result in anyone going to jail. In fact, to this day, 0 people have gone to jail. Using the wrong pronouns would need to be considered in totality with other actions for it to constitute a hate crime, basically like any other hate crime. As a person, I found you amicable, and our conversation is very insightful and interesting. But I'm not comfortable being a part of the pipeline leading to takes like this, showing again, here's Trudeau saying, if you're taking care of some last minute Christmas shopping this week, here's something else you can add to your list, a booster. If you're eligible for one but haven't gotten it yet, please do so now. Then he says, up yours, Trudeau, seriously, you'd have to kill me first. CNN guest Jessica calls on Spotify to place warnings around Joe Rogan's podcast, alerting listeners that his information is actually incorrect. Joe's mocking these so-called scientists, in quotes. So, to be fair to Ethan here, at least, Jordan Peterson's asking for okay, what is your reason for disliking me? And I will say this, all right? This is he is providing sources and examples for why he doesn't like Jordan Peterson, okay? So he's not really playing ad hom anymore. He's just listing why he doesn't like him. He's backing up his point. So fair enough. But it's so retarded to me, right? That just basic disagreements is now cause for concern and the alarm of the alt-right pipeline. I'm sorry, man. Jordan Peterson is not the fucking cause to the alt-right pipeline. That's just ridiculous. It's just this is moral grandstanding right here, right? You're causing alarm where it just doesn't need to exist. Fucking have the guy on again and talk about your differences with him to his face, If you had a guest on and then years later, you now come to this conclusion that actually this guest is really problematic and has a lot of ideas I didn't realize they had, and now I disagree with them. well, just talk to them, you know? Have a conversation. But instead, you're removing the show? Like, what? Or just do a show outlining your problems with it, right? Like, removing the show is just so, like, people are saying it's censorship. I don't think it's censorship. It's his content. He can remove it if he wants. But it's just so cringy to me. That's really my main issue with this. It's just cringe at the end of the day. But I will say this. At least he does back up his fucking arguments in this thread. So it's not totally terrible. But this whole like pipeline cringe, I just don't subscribe to at all. Peterson shares an article from the Post Millennial that's titled Jordan Peterson Schools Ethan Klein on Cancel Culture After YouTuber Deletes Videos, right? So then Ethan Klein responds, "This is my problem, Jordan. You asked for specific reasons, I provided them. Instead of acknowledging my response, you retract further into your bubble of flatters and devotees, talking of how you schooled me on cancel culture. You didn't school me, Jordan. Your room is as messy as your mind." Then he responds with the same picture again with his little epic own. Jordan Peterson has a messy room. Then he goes on in this thread. And Jordan, regarding cancel culture, the only thing that has ever guided me is my own moral compass. Okay, dude. Come on, man. Who are you kidding here? Don't act like you aren't impressionable and you aren't doing shit to appease your audience. It's obvious. Everything else is just noise. The mob is free to cancel me as it will, and they have plenty of times. And actually canceling, as you call it, sometimes is a good experience, as painful as it is. The times when I've received the most flack on things I've said are the times I've learned the most about myself and the world and how to be more mindful and caring of others. It's not always a call for defensiveness and shrinking. There is always growth to be had. I'll speak to people I trust that challenge me. You, on the other hand, surround yourself with yes men. Growth is human. Okay, sure, dude, whatever. Yeah, okay. Oh, and then Hasan jumped into this, right? Where was it? I think it would be very productive to have a conversation with H3 Productions and myself on our show Leftovers. You could clarify your stances. And then Nick replies, Hasan is going to set up a 2v1 with Ethan Klein to own Jordan Peterson and still need to bring in Sam Cedar, so there's at least one person in the call who understands actual politics. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, though, like, it is, I think, okay. I think it is fair to invite him onto the show to talk about differences. I mean, it is a 2v1, so maybe Jordan should have somebody else come with them just to even out the odds. But, I mean, at the end of the day, a conversation is the most fair solution, right? I don't know. It'd just be weird for me to, like, criticize this when I literally said, like, why not have a conversation? Okay, they're willing to do it. Like, I don't know. Whatever. It's content at the end of the day. So then fucking Michaela Peterson says, thank goodness H3 is out here saving the world from dangerous people, mocking him, right? So then Ethan responds, how is fleecing your father's fandom going? $100 per month for the Lion Club, teaching people that eating only meat cures all ailments? Must have been nice to be posting cute selfies from your father's social media account while he nearly died.
As I ought Detour 714 funded $2. Thoughts on the Oreo Technicals drama?
What do you, I've given my thoughts on that shit like a million times. What do you mean? Then Quartering jumps in here talking and he fucking posts this just random fucking shit yourself in the basement meme. So honestly, look, this whole H3 versus Jordan Peterson situation, I think some people are fucking making this a bigger deal, all right? Out of all the Ethan controversies, this is pretty low-end shit, right? It's not that big of a deal. It's just cringe at the end of the day, and it proves what I've been saying for a minute now. Like, I think a week ago I made a video. Ethan Klein has lost touch. He's lame now, right? And this just proves my point.
Anonymous funded $5. This is nothing new for Ethan.
Yeah.
He has a history of throwing former friends or people he's openly supported under the bus just to morally grandstand.
Yeah.
This goes as far back as his drama with Leafy.
Mm-hmm. Although I don't think him and Leafy were ever friends, really. But people are making it out like it's like the worst thing Ethan's ever done. I don't think it's on that level. but like, it's still just, it just exemplifies the fact that he is just so fucking impressionable that he is willing to do like anything to feed his base of just like mindless orbiters, you know? And it's just so annoying. And then he acts like he's like the rational one here. He's like, I'm always about learning and improving myself as a human being. It's like, no, who are you trying to convince? Like, I don't believe it. I'm sorry, I just don't.